Yo, what's up guys, welcome back to another video. This is a reaction to why the US Army electrifies its water. I have no idea what this is. Well, I mean, I know what it's about because it says on the title, but I watched this guy's channel, not on this, not on my YouTube. I've never reacted to him before, but I do watch him in my own time, so I will subscribe because he's pretty sick, you know. He's one of those, actually, like his content is actually like really interesting, sort of like stuff you wouldn't think you'd be interested in, but then you watch it and you're like, bro, why is this interesting me as much as it is? But that's just sort of how it goes with his channel. But I don't understand this topic. It just popped up on my feed and I saw it and I was like, wait, electrifying water, why would this happen? I don't know. Is there some benefits? Maybe it puts more electrolytes in the water and stuff like that. I have no idea. I mean, obviously that's not the case, but we're going to see. Hopefully you're going to enjoy. Links are in the description to my Patreon if you want to see some more reactions of mine, and links there to his channel. I'm assuming you know who he is already because he's just one of those YouTubers that a lot of people watch. But we're going to jump into this and see what this is all about.
In the mid-20th century, across the United States, wastewater plants and other ponds started to import a few species.
Was that a salmon? I mean, what other fish jump out of the water? That went flying.
Across the United States, wastewater plants and other ponds started to import a few species of fish, mainly bighead carp and silver carp.
Well,
those are fish that are particularly good at consuming algae blooms and other.
Oh, so are they electrifying the water to kill the fish in bulk? That wouldn't really make sense, would it? Because then they would float to the top, no? I think. But then how would you know which fish? Nah, I'm chatting shit. I don't know what the hell I'm saying. Why would they electrify the water to kill the fish? Because there'd be so many other creatures in here. Unless they do. Now I'm baffled.
And as with many things from the mid-20th century, what was meant to be a quick and easy solution turned into an ecological nightmare, because of course the carp escaped into the wild during floods. Of course they outconsumed and outcompeted all the local species. And of course they have no natural predators. So in parts of the Mississippi and Illinois rivers, like here in Peoria, those carp make up 95% of the entire fish biomass. The ecosystem that was here has basically been destroyed and replaced by carp. They can weigh more than 30 kilos and they are easily startled. They will jump out of the water at the slightest disturbance. If you go past a school of them in a boat like this, well, you can see what's happening. If one of those hits you in the head, it could do serious damage. Loads of YouTube channels have already talked about these carp-filled rivers because it's a big visual story and a great demonstration of human intervention causes harm. But the big problem right now is where these fish could end up next. And hopefully by the time I get there, the weather will have got a bit better. The Great Lakes of North America have a $7 billion fishing industry and a $16 billion recreational boating industry. If those carp reach the lakes, it would be another ecological disaster. And the lakes are connected to the Illinois River and the carp in one place, the canals of Chicago. This here is the choke point, the Chicago Sanitary and Ship Canal. The fish would have to come through here, which is why this water is electrified. The US Army Corps of Engineers have put a giant electric fence underwater.
We have chosen this point very strategically so that there's no way for invasive carp to get around this one particular point and get past the barrier.
So they brought the issue there and now they're having to deal with the issue. This is insane. Wait, where are carp? Because I know that, like, carp are like a common fish here. Where do they originate from? He might have said, I might have just blurred it out, knowing me. Where do carp fish originate from? I guess, I don't know. East Asia, some 6 million years ago, because they're like one of the most common fish that people go fishing for in the UK.
Into the Great Lakes. This is also a man-made canal, so it's a very standard shape, and we have the electric bars that bring the electricity into the water sitting nearly on the bottom, 21 feet below the surface. The barriers are designed to send DC electric current into the water. It's pulsed into the water very fast to create a voltage gradient in the water, like a speed hump that you would see on a road. For barrier 2A and 2B, it's 2.3 volts per inch at the surface. And at barrier 1, we're aiming for something around 6.0 volts per inch. And it creates this barrier of electricity.
The actual rooms with the pulsars, the things that send the electricity into the water, are off limits behind blast-proof doors. I can show you photos, but I can't go in because banks of capacitors that can store and release enough energy to electrify all this water 34 times a second are extremely dangerous.
On certain days, you can actually see fish swimming upstream and then they'll turn around and come back. If a fish is brave enough or gets pushed far enough into that voltage gradient, it will stun them. And then they would just float back downstream and they'll wake up somewhere and not understand why they got there. We have fish biologists for making sure that the barrier works. They go out, they capture fish, they tag them, and then they release them below the barrier. The fish do not get past the barrier. We do know that the 2.3 volts per inch is not as effective against little fish.
The main population of the invasive carp has reached about 70 kilometres away from here, and over the last few years it hasn't seemed to move any closer, which is a good sign, but it doesn't stop individual fish from making the journey. They've been found much closer, even occasionally on the wrong side of the barrier, and all it would take is a few to make it through. And suddenly, the Great Lakes have carp.
One male, one female, and you're going crazy,
When
man.
the barrier had to be shut down for maintenance in 2009, toxin was added to 10 kilometres of this canal to kill everything in it, just in case.
The amount of voltage that we have to send into the water to keep the barrier operating goes up dramatically when a barge comes through. We've noticed with some of the smallest fish actually do tend to go through the barrier when a barge is going by because of that voltage sag. So we do know that is one weakness of the barrier. Barges are built with what's called a rake on the front. That's the angled portion of the barge. They put it sometimes in between two barges. And so there's a water space in there, and they found that under certain circumstances, small fish could stay in that portion of water for many miles traveling up a river. And so there's the concern that a barge could take a small fish and make it through the barrier. The Navy dive team came out here and did a study on the electricity in the water and what that might do to a person. And the conclusion of that study was that there was a greater than 50% chance that someone in the water would experience cardiac arrest and would die. The Coast Guard has established special rules for this area. There can be no personal watercraft, so no jet skis, no canoes, no kayaks that can go through. All barges passing through this area are required to use steel cables as well, so that the potential between barges stays the same. And many times barges like to have people out on the bow or out on deck doing things. They're required all to be inside in the boat while they're traversing the barrier. Wow. Yeah, the birds are totally fine. It's like birds standing on an electrical wire. They gather around and they see these fish kind of gathering in a barrier area, and they swoop in and get them. One of the reasons that we have multiple barriers is that they do require maintenance. And so when we have a requirement to maintain a piece of equipment, we make sure that one barrier is operating. We have this layered defense, basically.
The connection between the Great Lakes and the now carp-filled river isn't natural. It was made by engineers 100 years ago in one of the largest civil engineering projects America's ever seen. The entire flow of the smaller Chicago River was reversed in order to flush sewage and wastewater out of the area. So in theory, that connection could be closed again, back to how it was in the 19th century. But that would involve re-engineering most of Chicago's big wastewater systems and flood defences, and it would cut off what's now a major route for shipping and boating. Closing the link has been suggested, there have been lawsuits about it, but it's not happened.
There's millions of dollars worth of goods that traverse just through this area.
All over it, the carp fish, god damn. And it could have all been avoided. That's wild to me.
Area alone. Barge traffic would have to find another way to get to its end goal. That would often result in more trucks, leading to congestion, leading to more pollution. So although the easiest solution is to close the canal or close a lock, it closes off this vital waterway that keeps goods moving in the Great Lakes. We know there are weaknesses. We still work hard at improving the efficacy of the barriers to continue to look at what voltages are needed to deter fish. Do we have the right millisecond settings? Do we have the right voltage settings? We're even looking at adding things like lights and sound, or possibly even CO2 to the barrier defenses. So we're continuing to bring that research to bear and provide the best deterrent that we can to keep the invasive carp out of the Great Lakes.
So for now, the electric barrier pulses away, and back out in the Illinois River, where I started, a whole new industry has been set up, catching carp.
You know, it's so weird, man. I know when I said at the start, add some more electrolytes to the water, I was genuinely joking. I know, because it sounds like it could actually it could be sort of making some kind of sense, because obviously electrolytes. I was joking, all right, but yeah, damn, the carp is causing havoc in the Great Lakes of the US. But oh no, it's not causing havoc in the Great Great Lakes. They're trying to stop it from reaching the Great Lakes. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this reaction. And yeah, until next time, like, subscribe. Peace.